Hi, I'm Dr. Paul, and I'd like to give a big congratulations to one of my consulting clients, Dr. John. Dr. John is down there in San Antonio. And when he first came to me, he was seeing 40 patient visits a week, which is real unique about this, is he was seeing 40 patient visits a week out of a home office. And so he started with our program, he started with the patient education, and he went from 40 visits a week. He took it all the way up to 300 patient visits a week. Now that took about a year, maybe a year and a half, but he got it up to over 100 patient visits a week in 90 days. So he increased his business. If you take 30 visits minus 300 minus 40, that's 260. So he increased his practice 260 patient visits with the patient education system, and he's now hiring an associate doctor, which is huge because now it leverages time. So he has more freedom. If he wants to work part-time, he can. Quality of life skyrockets when you practice part-time chiropractic. You talk about stopping burnout. Go ahead and learn how to take on associate doctors and practice part-time. You'll come in with all kinds of energy every time you come in. So he's going to have more freedom. He's got 2 young daughters that he likes to spend time with. They do a lot of horse riding and stuff. So his quality of life skyrockets with his family, what they can do, the vacations they can take, skyrockets. So if you take the difference of, he increased it 260 visits at a $50 per visit, that's a little over $600,000 a year. He increased his practice. Now, the reason I pointed out earlier about his home office is that's at a 97% profit margin. He didn't have to increase his staff, labor, or equipment any. He had everything in place. He just wasn't performing prior to joining our consulting and training and learning how to do all this. So a significant financial increase. And of course now he knows how to keep and get patients way more than he can physically handle. And so now we're training him how to hire his first associate doctor. So just a few points on patient education. You go, well, how can that make such a difference? Well, we teach patient education based on the science of the 3 phases of healing. Well, number 1, patients understand it. We're not pushing a chiropractic philosophy on them. The care is totally based on them, not a chiropractic philosophy. It's based on the patient's biomarkers, not the doctor's opinion. And it's based on the phases they heal. It's very easy to understand when you know how to explain it to patients, and it makes common sense. It allows them to heal, get the necessary therapeutic protocol in each of the 3 phases to not only heal back to 100% or as much as their body will allow, but decrease the likelihood of permanent injuries to a large degree. So that's why people will routinely go, yeah, that just makes total sense to me. I don't want permanent injuries. And yeah, I would like to not only get rid of this problem, but be able to function at as much of a full capacity as I can. So that takes us to the next category, which is time and money. So we make it really easy for them to get in the office. We have an office layout that there's no waiting. Our patients don't wait less than 7 minutes. They come in, sign in. They don't even turn around to sit down. And it's done that way because of not only the office layout, but the staff training. So you got to have the layout with the staff training. So nobody's waiting. They all come right in, go right back. They get treated, they get therapy, and they're gone. So there's absolutely no waiting. They might be in the office for, say, 20 minutes at the most. And that's including if they did active therapy. If they didn't get active therapy, they're in and out of our office in 7 minutes. Now, that's what patients want. Patients don't wake up in the morning wanting to drive 22 miles to go to a chiropractor office, wait 20 minutes to see him, spend 30 minutes in the office, and then drive home 22 minutes. That's not what they want. And then they don't want to do that, pay $50 a visit and do that 3 times a week for 4, 6, or 8 weeks. That's not their big dream when they go to bed at night. So it's all about being highly service related and efficient and being able to communicate effectively. So now we've done the education, we've done the taking care of time. We make it affordable. There's 6 socioeconomic classes 5 of them can afford chiropractic care. 1 of them can't. That's typically the homeless that are under the bridge, okay? But we make it affordable for all patients. So we go to terms. And all patients can afford terms, whether they have insurance or not. It doesn't matter. So it's easy to understand. It's easy to accept. The applique is very personal to the patient. We make sure we respect their time, and we make it very affordable. And that's why we'll have 70, 80%, 85, even up to 90% of the patients say, yeah, that makes total sense. Sign me up. So that's exactly what John learned. That's how he went from 40 visits a week to 300 patient visits a week, increasing his business over $600,000. Okay, next step is the associate doctor. That presents its own problems. The good news is when you do it right, it creates freedom, and it's the easiest source of passive income. And they typically break even, if they're seeing 13, 15 patient visits a week, there's no more money outlay. So it's not like you have to pay an associate doctor, you're not going to lose $80,000 or $100,000. Typically it takes us maybe 2 months, 4 to 6 to 8 weeks before they break even. So we'll just pay 1 to 2 months of salary, and that's it. They break even. So there's no more negative cash flow going out. And then it's up to them how well they do, but we do the training and get them going. And the average associate doctor, if they're seeing only 80 visits a week and you split it 50-50, that's a 6-figure income. That's a passive 6-figure income. You would have had to make as much as $8 million to do that on your own at a 50% overhead to have $4 billion, at 50% in taxes to have $2 million, put $2 million in the bank at a 2.5% interest rate. You'd have had to make $8 million to have a passive income of $100,000 a year from your stocks and bonds, or 2 months' salary with an associate doctor. Because as soon as they get to 80 visits, well, that's pretty easy in our system. You're now making, and that's when it's split 50-50. And we give great benefits to our associate doctors. So that's where he's at. And then now we have to pay attention. There's 5 different types of associate doctors and 5 different types of business models. So the bad news is if you take the wrong type of associate doctor and put them in the wrong type of business model, it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It won't fit. That's why like 70% of associate doctors don't work out. Doctors don't know this. And then they don't know how to train, the steps of training. So there's 5 different types of associate doctors. That's based on the interview. There's 5 different types of business models. So it depends what business model that we want. We're going to pick the associate doctor, and we find that out through the interview process. That tells us the 5 major categories of that associate doctor that's going to fit into which business model. That's how that works. Now, once that happens, we put them through the 4 stages of training. We'll take them from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, to unconscious competence to conscious competence. And we'll do that in 4 to 6 weeks per major topic, whether it's patient education or new patient acquisition. And that's how I was able to open 77 offices in 20 states and did that in 9 years. So that's what John's at. John's now maximized his income. He's hiring his first associate doctor. And with John, his goal is to have 2 associate doctors and then just be the rainmaker and just kind of be the manager of his office. That's it. That's what he wants to do. And then he wants to open additional satellite offices. And like, well, he's on his way. It's exactly what we do. So I'm Dr. Paul again. If you have any interest in how to do this, you can go to check me out at drpaulhollern.com, drpaulhollern.com, and go over the different services. But that's what we do. We take chiropractors and we teach them how to do what I did, which is how to maximize their profitability in their office, getting patients, keeping patients, overhead fees, staff, office layout, all that stuff. Not just with seminars, but with training, workshops and training. And then from there, we replicate it. We'll go to the first associate doctor, then the second associate doctor. And then from there, we'll go to satellite offices. And these are all different models. And then from there, the next step is real estate. We'll leverage that money into real estate, 5 to 10 to 1. So we can take an associate's income of $100,000 and leverage it 5 to 1 into $500,000 or 10 to 1 into $1 million. That's how I was able to retire at age 33. So it's learn first how to maximize your time for money. Second, learn how to replicate that to the associate doctor, how to leverage your time. And then take that money, the passive income money that you don't need, and leverage that 5 to 10 to 1 into real estate. And that's how you become a millionaire in real estate. That's exactly what John is doing. That's what we teach. That's what I did. So if you're interested, check out drpaulholler.com. We do consulting training in these categories. And that's what we do with doctors like John. We take them 40 to 300 visits a week. Associate doctors, it creates passive income and freedom, leverage it into investment real estate. That's how you become wealthy, and that's how you get freedom. And isn't that the real reason you went to chiropractic college? Check out drpaulholler.com. Give me a call if I can help you.